Hey guys, I'm Josh McKinney. I'm here with my friends Alex Nantel and our producer, Logan Wayne. And that makes this the South American Ground Karate Podcast.
What's up, guys?
Hey there.
How are you two doing today?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Pretty good. It's really nice outside, so I'm doing a lot better.
It is a nice day. Be sure to tell all of our podcasters how it's going outside. Describe the weather.
It's beautiful. There's birds singing, rabbits are running through the fields. It's pretty nice.
Oh man, it's been a great day today, hasn't it? And we just got out of the gym. We're just still in the gym. We just got done training.
Yes.
Decided it was time to throw together another podcast for you guys. If you don't know how this works, if you didn't listen to the first one because you hate us,
go back and listen.
Oh yeah, go back and
key, yeah.
Go back and listen. But also, kind of how we run this is we cover a topic usually based on an article. We're going to be covering an essay written by, is it Sam Young?
Yang.
Yeah. Okay, Sam Yang. And the title of it is, Logan?
Does a belt matter?
Does a belt matter? And so I believe we're going to
play the audio right about here.
I've been a purple belt for a long time, and I know everybody wants the new belt, but for me, that belt doesn't mean anything to me. And no offense to my professor, and if he thinks I deserve it, then I'm not going to question it. But I'm the one who adds meaning to that belt. You add meaning to your belt every day that you train. And I've had a lot of things happen while I was a purple belt. The whole time I was a purple belt, I've had somebody sick. I've been living out of the hospital, my mom's sick. While I was a purple belt, I lost my sister, I lost my father, I recently lost our family pet, and then now this with my mom. And my life right now is just work, go to the hospital, take care of my mom, sleep, go back to work, eat when I can, sleep when I can, train when I can. And I wasn't even sure I wanted to be here today, but somehow I always end up showing up, and somebody told me, you must really love jiu-jitsu. And I don't think love is the right word. I think jiu-jitsu is meaningful for me. And I think your teacher gives you opportunities to add more meaning to your life with jiu-jitsu. And there was a couple years ago, I really wanted to quit because I didn't love it anymore, and I came back. And while I was a purple belt, I realized jiu-jitsu is not just about cool moves and kicking somebody's ass and technique. I mean, I almost feel like it would be a big waste of your time if that's all it was. It's about grooming to be better people. And for me, the greatest thing I've gained from jiu-jitsu is resilience. And I wanted to thank Cabrinha for being my teacher and taking me on. And I want to thank all of you guys for being my training partner. I don't know if I can explain to you how much jiu-jitsu and this community has meant to me during this whole time that I've been training. Thank you.
All right, Sam.
Okay, so Josh, you're kind of the highest ranking member amongst our group of misfits. What's your take?
Man, I really like kind of just the overall perspective of the podcast, or not the podcast, the article, where he's just talking about how he's overcoming. I think that's probably my favorite thing about jiu-jitsu. You see these things with
like the struggle.
Yeah. The struggle, you see people that, we always go to, the go-to is always that somebody overcomes a handicap, but we all have handicaps that we overcome all the time when we're doing jiu-jitsu. I think that's really the cool part about it. When he's talking about how he lost his mom, he lost his sister, he lost his dog.
Yeah.
Or no, he lost his dad, not his mom. His mom's sick, and
spending the time at the hospital. But you're right, he did lose his pet dog.
Yeah, and you're overcoming, to try to get better. That's, I guess, what we're always trying to do is get better, progress, for ourselves to get better at jiu-jitsu. No matter what your handicap is, no matter how hard work is or whatever, if you can still continue to progress, you're still continuing to learn to overcome. And I think that's the coolest part about that, the audio that you guys just heard is this guy just got promoted to brown belt. If you didn't notice, or if you didn't really realize that, he just got his brown belt from Cobreña. And
Legit.
which is awesome. And he kind of said, I'm not sure if I deserve this. I'm gonna accept it because my coach says I deserve it. But he just said, he just kind of talked about how his belt isn't what's relevant. It's the fact that he's been overcoming so much. That's the beauty of him with martial arts.
Yeah.
Do you guys agree, disagree? Do you think I'm a liar?
I agree for the most part. I have a lot of respect for the man just for being able to survive a lot of that. That's a ton of trauma to go through it in any extended period of time. So that's awesome that he's just continued to push through and whatnot. And I also really do, I guess, the things I enjoy about the article is just how he talks about community, being a huge aspect of jiu-jitsu. And I think, I love the emphasis on community in general because obviously in our everyday lives, we always have people around us. And I think it's just an important part to remember that even when we think we're alone, even if we think we're individually doing tasks, 99% of the time we're really not. We have someone there for us, or ideally we do, not always. But there's always people that are helping us get better, whether it's at work, at school, at jiu-jitsu, etc. And so I think that's an important part to emphasize because, and that's with any activity in life, just because community is such a huge aspect of it. And I think it's great just to try to remember that and consistently tell ourselves that we're not alone, or just to give due credit, because I think sometimes too people will be I made me, I did whatever, and I think it's important to recognize that no, you really didn't. You know what I mean? There's very, very, very few things that you can be I did this 100% on my own realistically. So I like that kind of emphasis by him at the end.
What about you, Logan?
For me, two things that really stood out for me. The first one was that jiu-jitsu isn't just jiu-jitsu. It makes you a better human being because of you learn to deal with the adversity and try to push through it. That mental resiliency, mental toughness. That's the biggest aspect. I think you kind of need to understand that's what you gain from jiu-jitsu. Yeah, you learn how to defend yourself, but you also learn how to, survive. And it carries over. The other thing that I found really interesting, because it really echoed something that happened in my life, was he took basically a year off because he didn't like jiu-jitsu anymore. As he put it, he didn't love it. And I kind of did the same thing. I was unemployed. I couldn't make it over to St. Louis to train at Kyle's. Didn't know what I was going to do, and I'd go once every 3 weeks or something like that because you just miss it. Your body misses that grind almost, and that endorphin at the end. But when you guys opened up here, and I was able to bring Lila in and kind of get everything going with her.
Lila is Logan's daughter, if you didn't know.
Yeah, sorry. Little backstory. My kid, I was able to bring her in, and that kind of forced me to get involved again. And then I've been rock solid for almost 2 years, and it's I wish I'd have never taken that break. But on the flip side, I feel it was important that I did that so that I knew I don't want to do that again. That mental, nah, no more.
And that's just one thing you're always going to see is people overcoming. Even the best guys in the world, they're constantly overcoming. For me personally, being fairly new to brown belt and the adult competitive level of brown belt, I'm having to overcome losses. I'm having to try to figure out how to train differently. Like you said, for you, having a family, you have to overcome that to continue to progress. For Alex being a weenie, it's a tough.
It's hard. It's a hard enough life.
It's a tough thing to progress from being a weenie. But you just learn. No matter what it is, you can learn to overcome it. And jiu-jitsu puts you in a position where you're either gonna quit or you're gonna learn.
Yeah.
It's just
sink or swim. Yeah.
And for some people, it takes years and years to overcome something before they quit. For some people, you're overcoming new things every day. And I think that's really important. That's the coolest part. But from this article, I had a few questions for you guys. Just to stir up some conversation.
There we go.
Okay.
And this is we can kind of go both ways. We'll just start with first. Have you guys ever gotten a promotion that you didn't think you deserved?
Every one of them.
Nah, I had been training for a decent while when Kyle gave me my blue belt, so
even what about a stripe? Sometimes have you ever gotten a stripe you didn't think you deserved?
I have never put a huge emphasis on stripes personally. I feel I don't want to sound arrogant, but that's just how I never No, I don't know. I genuinely think I don't think I've been like, oh, I didn't deserve this. I've like trained for a long time and like got beat up quite a bit to be like, oh, like I just feel like by the time I've gotten promoted, I felt like I earned.
And Logan, you said that you feel like you've never deserved any of the promotions you've got. What did you? Yeah, is that an exaggeration, or what do you mean by that?
Well, it's that it's the duplicity of it. You know, when you get better and you get promoted, you kind of feel like you should be way better. You know, a representation, like you shouldn't be getting beaten by lower belts and stuff like that. And you know, it can kind of grind on you. But like for me, like we're getting ready for a submission only tournament, so we're doing like really long rounds. And if you've never done that before, it's murder. Like the first time I did it, I started hyperventilating. It was so difficult. I had to stop. We were trying to do a 10-minute round, and I had to stop at like 7 minutes to like try to get oxygen back in my body. And it's like that day, you know, it's like I don't feel my rank. I just don't feel like I'm representing the art well. And you know, that's kind of that mental warfare. You feel like, part of you feels like, you know, I'm a blue belt, I'm almost a purple belt. I should be just terrorizing people on the mats. Mm-hmm. But you know, you don't get any better if you're always fighting from your best spots. And you know, that day everybody was jumping on my back from a surprise location. It was like, no, this is awful. You know, and then, you know, driving home, I kind of think about it. It's like, you know, that's how you
do I deserve this? Do I deserve my belt?
Yeah.
You know, and that's it's
the hard work that I've put in. It's not the equivalent of skill so much. It's the recognition that I've put time in, I'm getting better. And yeah, compared to the, you know, knucklehead that walks in off the street, man, there's not going to be a chance that they're going to be able to do anything to me or anybody else who's been training for 6 months or better.
And yeah, I think I see that too. You know, it's easy to get caught up in that, like, you know, but when you're in the gym, your goal, like for me, as your guys' coach, you know, my goal when you're getting ready for a 10-minute round, you're going to do a tournament that has 10-minute rounds. I'm going to put a new guy with you every minute, you know, because my goal is for you to have to push yourself. If that means you have to get submitted a few times during this round, and oh man, one of the guys that caught you is a white belt, you know, who cares? You know, but the goal of it is to get better each day, even if I get caught by one of my blue belts, or even if I were to get caught by a white belt, or if I got caught, you know, just whatever. As long as I feel like I'm progressing,
yeah,
that's kind of my goal, you know.
Okay, how about this from a different perspective? Kind of thinking of, you know, everybody talks about you got to kill your ego. That's how you get better at jiu-jitsu. Maybe thinking of the upper belts is a recognition of like you've been able to push your ego down and train that way, and not thinking about you got to win every round. It's those small goals.
Yes, yeah, and that's. I think, I don't know, you have to kill your ego to an extent. You know, you do have to have some pride to push yourself. You know, like I think that's huge. Like I went to Chicago last weekend and competed, and I just felt like I did not good. You know, I had a few really close matches, but I just felt like I did terrible. You know, had I had no ego at all and just been like, oh, okay, you know, I lost, whatever, you know, I would probably be pretty complacent and say like, okay, well, no, I'm not gonna do, you know, like I'm just gonna go back to training the exact same way. You know, no, I looked at it and said, hey, there's something wrong. You know, this shouldn't be happening. I don't let it eat me inside or anything, but I say that, you know, hey, you know, my pride tells me right now there's something going on with this. You shouldn't be losing at this point, you know. And so what I decided to do was, you know, and this is I guess kind of not having an ego, is I messaged like 20 different people on Facebook that I know that are good at jiu-jitsu, that progress really well, and you know, black belts, brown belts, you know, and just said, hey, you know, it's mainly people that run schools too. Hey, how do you get better? You know, I said, if you don't want to tell me, that's fine. I wouldn't be offended, but you know, if you can call me, you know, let me know. And you know, because jiu-jitsu is such a cool sport, I think like one of those guys that I asked was on my team, but no one else was, and everybody was cool with being like, oh, well, this is what I do, exactly what I do. And so yeah, I wrote all those things out, and I said, well, I need to train differently. You know, all these guys have little different things, and you know, that's not having an ego. But sometimes it's okay to be frustrated with losing and say, okay. But it's not okay to be frustrated with losing so much that
you walk away.
Quit.
Yeah,
that you say, man, I'm a blue belt losing to white belts. I don't deserve this. I give up, you know. But you have to say like, hey man, I'm a blue belt. All these white belts are killing me.
Something's wrong.
How do I figure it out? What do I do? You know, you ask your coach, you ask You ask other people and you listen and you change things up.
What do you do when you notice you get beat by a lot of white belts, Alex?
Blame the weight.
Yeah, I just say
this guy's bigger than me, man.
They're way stronger than me. But no, I think just to echo what Josh is saying real quick, like I definitely think there's a huge overemphasis on like quote unquote not having an ego, and with that it ends up being a disservice to people sometimes because like you said, they either get complacent or like they don't have any confidence in themselves in like what they're doing especially in a match. Like they just, I feel like sometimes they'll quote unquote kill that ego so much that they just think it's inappropriate to take pride in themselves. And I think it's kind of like almost hypocritical too, because there's a ton of ego amongst an insane amount of people. And like that's what's just kind of interesting of like these like outwardly things we say about like respecting people and like jiu-jitsu or not having an ego, but some of the most egotistical people I've ever met in jiu-jitsu have all been upper belts. And and that's just the reality of a lot of things. You know, people say one thing and do another, but I think it's important to, you know, be willing to put yourself in bad positions or do whatever, but at the same time, like you should still have confidence in yourself. Like I roll with people and like I'm not afraid to lose, but I still have confidence in what I'm doing. And so like I'm willing to go hard amongst certain people and whatnot. So I don't know. That's kind of what I was thinking about with the whole ego discussion.
I get you.
I think that's cool. And my next question, Logan, you actually kind of answered this already.
Price playing in the hood, man.
It is, and that's.
I think we're good. Go ahead.
Okay. And that kind of my next question was, Logan, you already answered that, but maybe you can give a little more insight on it too. But have you guys ever quit or wanted to quit jiu-jitsu?
Yeah. Well,
you like you said, you go ahead and answer. You said you did quit, right? Like for a while.
Yeah, I don't know. It was more my like, it's that inner voice, man, that you know, some people call it like the black wolf, you know, the darkness, you know, you feed the negative cycle inside your brain, like, oh, you know, I'm not getting any better. You know, I've been a blue belt for, I think 6 years now.
Oh my gosh, you suck.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
You must have the worst coach, man. He just doesn't promote anybody.
That was just it, though. It's like that ego, the bad side of that ego was, I'm not getting any better. I couldn't take the step back and detach and go, yeah, I'm not getting better because I'm not training. Mm-hmm. It was just, jiu-jitsu sucks.
Yeah.
You know, it's failing me. I didn't see it as I was failing it. And it's like, you know, what kind of really ignited my passion to like, okay, I'm not gonna focus on that negative aspect and really rededicate myself was like, I was at a culture camp and I was teaching kids, you know, simple wrist breaks like for not getting abducted, things like that. Yeah. And it's like seeing the empowerment that those kids got from like the 45 minutes I spent with them, dude, it was like, that's why I want to do it. Jiu-jitsu really works. I was not working for jiu-jitsu. I wasn't letting it do what it should be doing. And, you know, ever since then, man, it's like I'm 2 to 3 times a week. When it's competition time, I'm up to 4.
That's awesome, man. And that's huge. What about you, Alex? Have you ever wanted to quit or quit?
I like have never, I can like, this is something I'm kind of proud of. And it doesn't really matter though, but I've like never actually really wanted to quit. Like There's been times where like.
Just wait.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I mean, I've trained for like 5 years realistically now, so it's like there's definitely been times like where I don't feel like mentally healthy enough to come in. Like I think everyone goes like, oh, I never regret coming into practice. Like there's 100% been times where I like have regretted coming in or like I need to take care of my mental health before I come in. But like I've never ever been like, oh, I like never want to come back. I don't know. That's just. I've like always enjoyed training. I've always enjoyed it. I still recognize that there's points in time where like I need to focus on myself above training. So that's kind of I guess how I take that.
I get that. Yeah, I actually have had 2 different times that you know both times I really didn't want to completely quit training jiu-jitsu, but I kind of lost my focus, and it's really easy to do that as a competitor. You look at like. I just want to compete. You know, that's all I want to do. And so then like I'm competing a bunch, and when I first got my blue belt, I was losing. You know, and it was like it was frustrating for me. You know, it was like at white belt, it was like, you know, especially white belt as a teenager, you know, there wasn't a ton of good white belt kids, you know, like at 15 and 16. And then I started so I was like pretty dominant at white belt. You know, I wasn't really losing.
Yeah.
And then I got my blue belt, and I started competing at adult at 16 too, and I was losing a lot.
Well, dude,
it was heartbreaking for me. You know?
That was the thing for me. Like when I was a white belt, I wasn't like winning gold at everything when I would compete, but I would get third place, second place. Like I felt like
that wasn't happening for me.
No. All of a sudden you have to learn. I am competing against other people who train the sport. It's not like I'm going against that untrained assailant. You know, it's a totally different game.
Who wrestles with their dad in the garage.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And so for me, what kind of happened too, like at blue belt, was I was just kind of forced into a good position, a good place to be, and one of my friends. He was training at Alliance headquarters a bunch. Anyway, he visited for a summer, and we pretty much trained together for like 3 or 4 hours a day. You know, and then now I'm a blue belt that's training 4 or 5 hours every single day because I'm training with this, drilling with this guy for 3 or 4 hours, and then going to class and training really hard. And I was like, wait. I'm killing everybody again. And so then it was like, it felt good again. I was like, okay, this is cool, but that wasn't a good answer for me. Well, then at purple belt, the same thing happened. I got my purple belt, and I did really well in my first tournament. I did a Chicago Open, and I won like my first 4 matches, and then I lost in the final. I was up like 6-0, and I got caught in a choke, and I was like, well, crap, that sucked, but at least I did really good. Well, after that, I literally went like 2 years where I didn't make the podium for a tournament, and I was competing a lot. And I was like, well, this sucks. You know, this is no fun. This is like, I don't want to compete anymore. Yeah. I still like to do jiu-jitsu. It's still fun, but I don't want to compete because, like everyone can see that I suck when I compete. And so,
but do you think they think you suck?
Oh yeah, in my mind, I'm sure they do. You should see my thought processes anytime you guys lose. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
dead to me.
No, and just and I know I knew I was my own biggest critic. I was aware of all that, but I was just kind of like, man, I'm just sick of losing. I can take a loss, but I was just sick of it, and I was just like, I just don't think I want to compete anymore. And so I took a little time off competing, and then I started changing up my training, and it started working. And towards the end of purple belt, like I started winning a lot more, and it was like, man, I'm winning big tournaments again, and I'm doing well again. And then I got my brown belt, and I've kind of hit a wall again, and I don't feel like the wall was near as bad as it was at blue and at purple, but I've kind of come to that conclusion of, hey, this is why jiu-jitsu is beautiful, is because I'm doing well, and then I get a promotion, and then I'm getting killed, and then I'm saying, you know what? How do we fix this? How do we overcome it? And I think that's kind of like the most fun part about jiu-jitsu for me, even though it sounds silly that like, man, you're losing, but man, I'm losing to really, really good guys.
Yeah,
and I'm like, how do I fix this? How do I beat them now?
Yeah, I mean, you've made it to that rare air. I mean, you've made it to the 7% club. You got to figure the attrition rate. Like you look it up on Google or whatever, what is it? 35% make it to blue belt, 7% or 17% make it to purple, and then it just keeps going down until you get to like 3% make it to black belt from lifetime. I mean, that's good though. I mean, it keeps the legitimacy, and it doesn't water down the art like the other arts have kind of gone, I guess.
Yeah, man, and I think that's kind of the. That's kind of like that's always going to be my favorite thing about jiu-jitsu, is just the overcoming thing. But I had one more question for you guys from this article. What does your belt mean to you? You both are blue belts. What does your belt mean to you? If you just, and I know it's kind of a weird question, and we didn't plan these questions before. I didn't want to ask you before because I wanted you guys to just tell me on the fly. Sure. When you look at your belt, when you tie it, when you put it on, if you really think about like what is this? What does this represent? If somebody says, oh, you're a blue belt, what does that mean? Or you're a 4th stripe blue belt, what does that mean? Somebody's never even done jiu-jitsu. What does that mean to them?
For me, it's more of a sign of hard work, and that I can speak to the art a little bit, meaning I'm not a slouch. I know the major positions. I may not know the finiteness of like how to escape worm guard or super active lapel guard or something like that, but
neither do I.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah. We all know that, Josh.
The inside joke there is I couldn't escape lapel guard. I lost in Chicago. That was the joke there.
But what it means is, I'm not going to get caught in a in an odd position in a basic manner.
Okay, that's good. What about you?
I feel like I always have to be the one going against whatever. But I don't know, like my belt doesn't really mean shit to me. Like I guess if I had to explain it to someone else, like I'd go along the same lines of like, I have like the basic understanding of jiu-jitsu and like I'd probably leave it at that. But I think at the end of the day, like I don't really put a huge emphasis on a belt. Like I don't know, I just never have. I never really cared to like that's just how I view it. Like I just want to be good at jiu-jitsu and I enjoy training, and so like whatever belt I have, and I just want to be able to hang with, like I was talking to Josh about this earlier, I just want to be able to hang with like some of the best guys, and like whatever, if I'm a brown belt and I can do that, if I'm a purple belt and I can do that, it's irrelevant to me. Like I just want to be, like I love the sport and I like love how like complicated it can be, and just like it's like I just enjoy it, and so I don't know, like I don't put emphasis on the belt or anything like that.
I guess to me, if you had to put like one thing on it, I am hard to kill now. I mean,
that's every day you get a little harder to kill.
Yeah,
I get it.
Well,
I think that's cool, man.
What about you?
For me, I'm kind of in that same boat of like, honestly, I don't know what my belt means. I thought of this question and I was like, shoot, I don't have a good answer for this question. I was like, I guess that makes it a pretty good question. And that was my thought process, is like, it means a lot to me, but it doesn't really mean that much. It means a lot from the fact of my coach, Kyle Watson, that I got it from. It's really important, the relationship that I have with him. Kyle's one of the best guys in the world that I know. And so the significance that he thought that I deserved a brown belt, is really important to me. But
not just one of, but the second one.
Yes, exactly. And so like you see, you also have though, people say, whoa, you do jiu-jitsu, what belt are you? And I'm like, I'm a brown belt. And they'll look at me and they'll be like, how close is that to black? Like it's one away. Like, wow, you've been doing this for a really long time. My little nephew, he got his black belt in 3 years in Taekwondo.
Let's spar.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'll fight your nephew.
Yeah. I'll give him a swirly.
And I'm like, only if it's in the gi though. He's got to make weight. 7-minute IBJJF rounds though. He can't beat him. If he reaps at all, he's DQ'd. Just remember that. So it's under a very specific set of rules. I could definitely beat your 6-year-old nephew. That's a black belt. But so I guess it depends on who's asking, is the significance of it too. But like if I'm just saying to me what the belt means, it just means I've put in a fraction of the time that I plan on putting into this. Like that. I'm gonna put in way more time than I have. I've trained for 9 years, nearly every day. And sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times a day. But I know that that's not even a fraction of what I plan on training for the rest of my life, and how much better I plan on getting. It just, to me, looking at a brown belt that's not a red belt, it just says, hey, like this isn't the end goal at all. This is just something that shows that I'm progressing still, but I still plan on doing more.
Yeah. No, that's good.
And so I think that kind of wraps up the essay or the article. Do you guys have anything to add to it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that jumps out at me other than like I had no idea. Like I've read a lot of Sam's stuff on Facebook and on his site, and until I watched that video, I had no idea that dude was a Caprina brown belt. That is pretty cool.
Yeah, the site is triumph.com.
Yeah. Sorry, we'll put it in the notes of the.
Yes, it's musttriumph.com.
Must Triumph, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, cool dude. I totally.
If you look at triumph.com, it's probably like
Triumph the insult dog or something. Oh man. All right. Well, we can go on to.
Yes, we have a
questionnaires.
Few listener questions.
Yeah. Now we need to get some more though.
Okay. Yes. So if someone did have a question, where would they ask it?
They can hit us on Facebook. You can go to @theJoshMcKinney on Facebook, or at Clever Fox JJ. The Clever, then Fox is PHOX JJ.
That's clever.
Got to use that twice now. And Alex,
we'll say it every time. Yeah.
Alex is antisocial, so you can't get to him on social network.
Yeah.
But we're willing to, and it doesn't have to be just jiu-jitsu. It could be about life,
anything.
Yeah, I mean, we'll make stuff up.
I usually do.
Josh himself is an entrepreneur, a business owner, gym owner. He's got struggles of being a young fella just trying to make it in the world.
He doesn't have any struggles. He's attractive and he's got jiu-jitsu. He's perfect.
True. I have struggles. So if you ever want to know about him, we'll have Logan play the harp and I'll tell you all about it.
I can play the organ too, so.
Oh, that's bad. All right, let's see. Let's see.
Pick a good question, or I'm going to be upset.
But they're all good. They're all good questions. Okay, we'll start with this one. Is it okay to ask a higher ranking belt, even black belts, to roll as a white belt?
No, you should get shot. Yeah.
Oh, cool. I'm glad we
all
agreed. All right,
solved
next
that.
question. No. It definitely depends on what gym you're in. For me, I do not care if you do. I always try to make sure to tell guys that, hey, that's kind of how some people are, though. So, if we're all training in here, and I often have black belts in and out of here, we always have big open mats and stuff. And, so just be prepared if you do ask one of the black belts to roll, because some of them may not like it, but honestly, the vibe in here is very,
laid back,
anti-traditional, I would say. Not even like
in a bad way.
Yeah, I try to do it. You go to some gyms and they try to be so anti-traditional. And it's like.
Yeah, like 10th Planet or.
Yeah, it's just like chill out, man. You can have tradition. There's nothing wrong with it. I just for me, I just enjoy getting better at training jiu-jitsu. I don't have to bow to the mat before I get better. And you don't have to either. If you want to, you totally can. But if you walk with shoes on the mat, we're gonna kill you.
Nobody wants to.
You can do anything else.
Yeah.
But if your shoes touch my mat, we're gonna kill you.
You'll end up in a dumpster behind this place.
Yeah. But that's just a cleanliness thing.
Right. Why do you think that there is that about asking the upper belt, that I don't want to say mystique or that standard, I guess?
I think a lot of times it has to do with if you're training and there's a big group of you, the higher level belts want to roll with the higher level belts, and people usually don't like to say, oh no, I don't want to roll with you. Mm-hmm. They don't want to be rude. And so I think it was just, and this is just my opinion, I could be wrong. I don't know who made the rule, but I think it's just kind of a way to let the higher belts choose who they want to roll with because they put in more time. And I get that.
Yeah, that to me is the hardest part about rolling, is that awkward, trying to find eye contact with somebody, and you see everybody looking at the ground or not looking around.
You always see the people that are less
facing the wall.
The last two.
And I'll be scanning and I try to, and if I catch a glimpse, I just keep staring them down. I like that. Oh man, I guess I have to roll now.
Yes, for sure.
All right. Anybody else want to add anything else to the rolling with higher belts or asking?
I think just to I don't think it's only just defining who gets to pick who. I think when I brought that up earlier, talking about how we talk about not having an ego and then people obviously having egos, I think that's a big part of it too. I just think it's some people take it's almost to me it's like a dick measuring contest sometimes with sorry I guess, but just the way people I think go about it. I can see how there definitely, I guess sometimes should be respect because people have been on the mat longer for you. They put in more time there. They've trained at the gym. They've helped out more, etc. But some people, I think, kind of use those traditions to just put down other people or act like white belts or lower belts or whatever it is in general are somehow less than them and they're not deserving of their attention. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that to me is just hey, this is supposed to be an art for everybody. And I mean, not everyone agrees with that, but I think it should be. And I just think that's very anti that kind of mindset. If you're going to be I'm above you because I've trained longer. It's
at my gym, my white belts, they call me out all the time.
Yeah.
And it's fun, but I will always respect the rules of somebody's gym. Yeah. If people are hey, you need to bow before you go on the mat, I'll do it. If we line up or whatever, I'll happily do it. But this is just what I can say from how it is at my gym. I just like it to be very laid back. It's just let's all get better. Let's all get better together and let's have fun.
Yeah.
For me, I kind of see it if you see a spazzy white belt, I might turn down that roll.
Yeah. Which is of course reasonable.
Right, but I mean, from my perspective, if you really want to know where you're headed, if you stick with jiu-jitsu, go ask a higher belt, man.
Yeah.
Go find out what the deep waters feel like for sure. But do it with respect. Don't be all doofy about it. Don't be a knucklehead.
If somebody asks me, hey, will you go hard on me? I will always
oblige
always turn it up. I'm always happy to.
Yeah, so always never spaz out when you start with a higher belt, man. Go into it a little light and let it build up, man. Don't just try to kill the arm right off the bat or something. That'll never turn out good.
And like Josh said, I think you should just respect other people's like norms and traditions. Like I don't think I mean you don't have to like do it yourself in your own gym if your coach or whoever is okay with it. But you know, if I say this now, but if I go to another school and they're not okay with that, of course I'm not going to do it. Like I'm not going to blatantly disrespect other people because I don't agree with the rules they have. You know,
just go for the heel hook, hardcore. Yeah. Okay, next question will be rank your top 3 forms of self-defense and kind of give a reason why you think that.
Krav Maga, Systema, and ballet.
No, Jiu-Jitsu, and Jiu-Jitsu. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, my top is going to be Jiu-Jitsu. What are you guys' number 1? If you say anything else, you're off the team.
Okay.
Off the team.
Okay. I'm off the team.
No. Go ahead.
Okay. For me, I look at self-defense in 3 phases. Okay. The phases being distance. If you're too far away for me to hit you, my first self-defense is Glock. You know,
spear.
Yeah.
Javelin.
Bow and arrow.
Yeah. And then the closer you get, if I can hit you or kick you, yeah, or stab you with my pocket knife. We're talking true self-defense. And then, of course, you know, the third one is jiu-jitsu because, you know, if I can get my hands on you and get it to the ground, it's where it's going to go down. But I just want to be able to control it on all 3 levels.
That's good. Then I think you did leave out just staying out of fights.
Well, yeah, running.
50 meter dash.
Yeah.
Nobody runs from a fight but chickens. No, I get you.
I think the best form of self-defense, in all honesty, and without like being like, oh, jiu-jitsu is the best, is being able to stay out of a fight and being able to say like, man, I have nothing to prove. I don't care. You know, how often do you accidentally bump into somebody in a really crowded place and then they want to fight you? You know, you could easily let those situations escalate, or you could say, okay, sorry, man.
Yeah.
Buy you a drink. My bad.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to buy him a drink. I'm not trying to take him home, Logan. But, you know, like I'll just, you know, honestly, it's just like, I'm sorry, you know, I don't care if the situation escalates more and more, or if, you know, I feel like I or my loved one is in danger. That would be the only time you would even need self-defense, is when you're actually having to defend yourself. When you're only trying to defend your ego, you know, it's not self-defense. You're an idiot.
Yeah. For me, I always tell like my 2 daughters, the smallest one who's 4, is jiu-jitsu is kind of like a superpower. And what I'd liken it to is like if you guys had seen The Dark Knight with Bane, the scene where Bane is just like, he just lays his hand on that dude and goes, "Do you feel in charge?" You know what I'm talking about? Like
I know
that
exactly
scene,
what you're talking about.
That to me is what jiu-jitsu is. Like it's that confidence, like, dude, if you want to bro out, dude, we'll bro out. You're not gonna like it.
Yeah, and that's, you know, and having that confidence, knowing, like, testing yourself every day. You know, like when we come into the gym, we know where like our place is. You know, like we know.
Yeah,
like,
there's a definite pecking order, like you know.
Exactly,
yeah.
and you know how good you are, and you know, honestly, if I were to fight, you know, sleeveless McGee, I know how it would turn out 100% of the time, unless he had a gun. And I don't like that way to turning out, so I don't care enough to find out.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it's like you can't say like, you can't look at it and be like, oh man, well I need to prove something. Dude, you get to prove it every single day when you train.
Who do you have to prove it to? Some bum on the street? Like, who cares about their opinion?
And most likely it's not going to turn out right. I mean, you double leg some dude and he cracks his skull on a curb.
Dead.
Yeah, guess what? That's manslaughter.
Yeah, and you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So it's kind of...
Better get a double like everyone else, there's no witnesses.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, you know, my first form of self-defense is going to be verbal jiu-jitsu. My second form is going to be verbal jiu-jitsu, and then my third form will be real jiu-jitsu. You know, like that's kind of, I will do everything I can to not be in that situation because I don't want to be, you know? Like that's something Joe Rogan talks about, is like knowing how fights can turn out actually makes me afraid of fighting, because I know, man, I know what the significance is. You see people that have no idea, you know, the things that can happen. You know? And you know, if people just knew that, if everybody had to do a mandatory 3 jiu-jitsu classes, so many people would not want to get in fights anymore, because, or even a mandatory 3 Muay Thai classes, or just 3 any type of I'm not gonna bash any
Legitimate
other,
art.
Well, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I won't name any other martial arts, but like any other like non-super Americanized martial art where it's not just a bunch of forms, where actually any contact.
It's a legitimate sampling of the art.
Yeah, I was watching. Oh man, I don't remember his name. He was at the UFC gym. The guy. Have you guys seen the movie with Kevin James?
Bas Rutten was in it.
It's not Bas Rutten though. It's the guy that he fights at the end of the movie. Krzysztof Szczecinski.
Yeah, the freak, the Polish freak. Yeah,
exactly. I think it's the Polish experiment, isn't it?
I thought it might be.
Might be freak. I don't know. But anyway, they let people put on boxing gloves and try to hit him, and it obviously wasn't working. They weren't like, these are just 4 normal people, and they can't really hit him. And one of the guys was so confident. He's like, yeah, I didn't really want to, throw any real punches on. I didn't want to hurt him. And Krzysztof said, well, how about I put on some gloves and we spar for a little bit? And you can tell Krzysztof's not even trying. And this guy is dead after about 30 seconds and gives up. The guy's, I'm done. As soon as he started turning it up a little bit, if everybody had to do that, people would be much less willing to fight, because they realize like, hey, there are people out there that could really hurt me, no matter how good I am.
Fighting is a legitimate thing and not just throwing punches.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
with no regard to what you're doing. Yeah,
it's pretty wild. Like right now, I'm trying to put together a presentation to do at this camp I go to every year that I got invited back to do. This time I'm doing teenager self-defense, and there's a cohort or a secondary class for the parents to kind of go over what I taught them so that they know what to...
The kids are learning.
Yeah. And but it was pretty cool because it was one of the most requested classes to have brought back.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, all right. But man, like I'm going through YouTube videos trying to find samples of dumbass people trying to fight, just short of world star stuff, and then comparing it to someone who picked a fight with someone that they shouldn't have because that other person knew jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
And man, it's like my favorite one I'm going to show is the Cat Williams one. Have you guys seen that one?
Yes, I have, where he gets choked.
I remember this. I remember this occurring.
Oh my God, some 17-year-old kid, dude, just like Cat Williams punched that kid out of nowhere, and that kid was like, okay, took his back and choked him unconscious. It's like, you don't mess with people because you just don't know.
All right, what about our next question?
Wait, I don't know. Are you going to stick with your ballet and ribbon dancing?
No, I just think, just to answer it real shortly, it would be like jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and then like Muay Thai, but in no particular order.
I get you.
Man, you're a killer if you got all 3 of those.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, wrestling, because you wrestled in high school?
That was horrible. Don't ever bring that up.
Yeah,
I'm a guard puller. I'm a guard puller. Oh, man. Okay.
We don't discuss those days.
Okay, how about, why is jiu-jitsu called the gentle art? From the outside, it doesn't look that gentle at all.
I'm not a linguist, so I don't really know where that is derived from.
Go with somebody who's really, really good, and you go as hard as you want.
Yeah.
And then watch how it's gonna hurt. It's not gentle in that aspect. It's gentle meaning that they flow really well, and just watch how much more tired you are. Like, and I mean somebody who's like next level good at jiu-jitsu. And not that like a blue belt isn't good or a purple belt's not good, but go with like a good black belt when you're a white belt. Or go with a really good, just anybody who's really, really good, and go as hard as you can.
Yeah.
Watch how tired you are and watch how little energy they use, and that's gentleness. Even though they're putting you in a ton of pain, that's why it's called the gentle art. And I didn't get to experience this until I went against some like, because like my coach always had that ability to kill me, but he never did.
Yeah.
But like. I was going with, like I had said, one of my friends when I was a blue belt, he was really, he was a good brown belt. He won worlds at brown belt, and we were training together, and I was going really hard on him, and he was a little bit smaller than me too, and I was just noticing like, I'm playing guards that I don't want to play, and I am in bad positions the entire time, and he has not broken a sweat. He was flowing, and I was going 100%, and I noticed like, oh, that's what that means. I get it. He is going gently, and it is still art. That was kind of why.
To me, it's that, but it's also the guy who's flowing on you is controlling the chaos 100%.
Gosh.
Like he's putting you where, and if you think about it, if it wasn't gentle, your day would be ruined with somebody trying to move you physically. I mean, they just let you go, and you go there. It's pretty wild. Like, I'm trying to think of who I was, like, even going with Kyle, like, the difference between Kyle flowing with you and Kyle rolling with you, night and day. It's like I remember flowing with Kyle a couple times, and it's like, oh, this isn't too bad. This is too bad, and then he turned it on. It's like, oh, this sucks.
And then he breaks everybody's wrist.
Yeah.
And when you're going with somebody who's good, it's literally like every move that they make benefits them, and every move that you make benefits them.
Yeah, you're
it's terrible.
Treading, you're treading water and drowning slowly.
Yeah, and so that's I really believe that's why it's called, or that's why people consider it the gentle art, is because at a point it becomes gentle.
Well, like we teach the kids, the way I look at it, if you want to look at it from like that aspect for gentleness, we teach the kids not necessarily like in a fight or a bully situation to break their arms or choke them unconscious. It's, I can hold you here without hurting you.
Yeah, and you do have the choice. You can't punch somebody at half power and hope that like
they don't get upset.
Hope they kind of get knocked out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's either 100% or nothing.
Yeah, you got to be all in on those.
Yeah, in those situations, you can give somebody a choice before they slowly drift off into the abyss.
For sure.
Do we have one more question?
Yeah, let's see. Okay. When the fight isn't on soft mats or there are multiple attackers, would jiu-jitsu really work in like a street self-defense situation?
Oh gosh, if there are multiple attackers, don't get in a fight.
Yeah, why is this happening to you?
Don't get in a fight. Like I would teach women's self-defense classes, and I always started out with, we're always talking about how to avoid, being in any negative situation, and then how to have an equalizer. Jiu-jitsu can be a great equalizer in one-on-one if you train it a lot, but there is no better equalizer in multiple assailants
And the Draco, pull out an AK and just light him up.
Then running away.
Than a concealed carry. And I always tell people like, hey, if you hate guns and you think they should be outlawed, that's fine, but you should still have one if you want to defend yourself against somebody that is going to just be way more physically imposing than you, or two people. Is it possible? Do you being good at jiu-jitsu, are you ever curious as to like, man, I wonder how I would be able to handle fighting two guys? Yeah,
no.
you always think that. Come on,
I would get murdered.
Everybody, and that's most likely. And then you're like, well, what if we're in a hallway, and it's really tight, and then so they can only really go one at a time,
Is John Woo videotaping this?
Yeah, and so you're, and you always think that, but like, honestly, if two people, if they have any intelligence at all and they want to attack you in unison, just watch a street fight where it's two guys and the guy's girlfriend. The guy's girlfriend's just ripping the guy in the face, It's really hard to defend that because you're focused on one thing, like like on concrete, I think it's definitely can be effective. Don't jump guard, but
Yeah.
Like on concrete,
Maybe at their knees.
Yeah.
Pull them out.
it can. I mean, can you guys really say you've never grappled anybody on concrete?
No, I have.
You have? Yes. Yeah, I have too. I was on top the whole time playing Neon Belly. I was fine, and my friend had never done jiu-jitsu before, so I win, and that's kind of the thing. Is like, on concrete, in any self-defense situation, be on top.
Yeah.
Whether you had to sweep to get there, but don't, I love jiu-jitsu so much. Don't pull guard in a self-defense.
It's a fight.
The reason being is like, when you're on top, there are just so many more positives. One, your back is not on concrete.
You can get up and get away.
Yes, it's so much easier to kick somebody in the head if somebody else is going to hit you, if there's a multiple attack situation. And if you're on your back, and the ability to escape. Like if you truly don't want to be in a fight, you can control somebody and escape when you want if you're on top. And we don't, like when I teach my kids class, I tell them not to hit. You can also just rain down fire from hell on somebody.
Stomp on someone's head if you're on top of them.
When you're in mount, compared to when you're on your back and guard. You can really do way more in the fight much quicker. And you think about it, we train off our back because that's universally considered as the worst, position, but it is universally considered as the worst position. Look at it. You're on your back. Why not be on top? You're not going to get picked up and slammed when you're mounted on a guy.
Just grab the leg when they stand up. You're not going to get slammed.
And so people think like, oh man, I'll just hook the leg on a triangle. It's really hard to do that. Do a tournament where they allow slamming. It's anytime your back leaves the mat, all you think of is, oh no.
Yeah.
You know, imagine that on concrete, or imagine that, you know, like.
And when they're not going to get DQ'd for spiking you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine that at that
power bomb.
Imagine that at that bonfire that you're about to get in a fight with.
Yeah.
You know, like you just don't want
Getting
that.
thrown into the fire.
Oh my God. What about you, Alex? You think about the 2-on-1 at all? Like what would you do? Or
I just think I don't lie to myself, and I would hope I'm never in a position where I'm getting 2-on-1, but
I can always beat my kids that are 2-on-1. You know, my 10-year-olds.
Yeah, maybe like my dogs. They're it's 30 pounds each. I could probably beat them up in a 2-on-1, but I think jiu-jitsu can be effective in a lot of ways, but I do not think in a multiple attacker scenario it's going to be. I mean, it's going to be better than nothing. You know what I mean? And if you can stay on top, but. I mean, what are you gonna do? Like arm drag one guy, then shoulder throw the next. Like I
don't know. Have you seen what is the new Keanu Reeves movie?
John Wick.
John Wick.
That was
the
pretty
second
tight.
one.
It was pretty good.
He fought multiple people on one.
Yeah.
Using jiu-jitsu, and he won. So obviously it works.
It works for
That's based
movies
on a
are
true
documentaries,
story.
right?
That was based on a true story. If you don't know.
Well, and two, is it Hinner that has the video on YouTube with him going 2-on-1?
Huron does. He actually has a video. They do that a lot. They train 2-on-1 a lot, but he has a video with 3-on-1.
Randori style.
And so that's fun, like for jiu-jitsu. But if he's mounted on one guy and the other guy's hitting him in the head with his shin,
or a bat or anything.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same. But do I think it's possible to train those and have a stand a better chance?
Yeah, of course.
You know, like.
I still think you have to be realistic, because like at the end of the day, like this is LARPing to a degree, especially if you start getting more complex of like someone pulls a knife on me and I do this, or there's multiple attackers and I do this, and it's just like there's so many variables, and like any sort of fight, like in a gym, like there's like we can tap at any point in time, like we can stop things. We have we have general rules, like if someone knees you in the head, like like you get pissed, but if someone knees you on the head in the street, like you have to eat it and then keep going, and it's just like. I just think that no one should be lying to themselves and be like, I'm that good that I could take on multiple guys or do whatever. Because it's like, who like you never know what happens. What happens if you piss them off enough and they pull a knife on you, or you know what I mean, and they just stick you once, and then you're stabbed.
That's for me is I would hate to find out how it would do. Like in all honesty, like I had a friend, he's a police officer, and when they were in training,
2-on-1 arrest tactics.
they were doing like 2-on-1 arrest drills, and he was the bad guy. And my friend's was a really good blue belt at the time, and so he triangled one guy and handcuffed the other to the hand that was in. So he handcuffed these two police officers together. He's supposed to be the.
And see, why don't the police train more jiu-jitsu? I mean, that is baffling.
Yeah, that could even be our next podcast.
No joke.
I mean, like. And
seriously, yeah.
I'll be the dissenter on that one.
Yeah, we get a police officer in here, and he and Alex have to fight.
Yeah.
And so. We'll make them arrest Alex,
For me, the 2-on-1, wouldn't want to be in it, but like thinking about it in abstract.
I'd want to be the two. I'd win that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm one of the two
be
guys.
the gang.
Yeah. For me, it would be I would want to nullify one of them as quick as possible, either by like breaking fingers, wrist, hand, elbow, some way, even if it was a standing arm lock.
Use your katana.
Yeah, slice them in half.
Cut them in half. Got him.
Okay, I don't have a katana.
Oh, maybe you should.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I mean, that would be my tactic. I don't think I would be able to survive nearly as long. I don't think it would turn out well for me. I mean, of course, I'd have to take that step back, like, how the hell did I end up here first off? But that would be my tactic.
Yeah, like, truly my only tactic would be
groin strike.
My Ruger.
Suicide bomb is what I would do.
The Ruger is pretty much the only tactic that I would have in that situation. And then, then I would hope jiu-jitsu if I had a gun jam. But, they test those in really bad conditions, so the gun won't jam.
If you get a revolver, they don't jam.
I'll have one of those cyanide pills in the back of my molar that I'll crack and just take it so I can take my own life before I am dishonored like that.
Before you lose a fight. Genius.
Before I'm dishonored like that, yeah.
You are Stone Cold Samurai right there.
I am.
And on that note,
Josh is calling it work.
All the kids that are still listening to this podcast, we thank you guys. Please like and share this podcast. Again, this one's going to be on YouTube again.
Yep.
All right. So be sure to share it. Illegally download it from YouTube.
As long as you're spreading it, who cares if you illegally download it?
It's okay. Just be sure to to tell everybody legally download anything.
Yeah.
If we can give you any advice from this,
Never pay for anything again.
nothing is illegal.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Check us out on the socials too. Josh and I are on there. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram. Check out Head Nod Squad HQ on Facebook. Stuff like that. As far as like sponsors, Josh, I'll let you go ahead and tell us yours.
Yes, I want to thank my sponsors, Head Nod Squad, a company that I also own a part of, but they also sponsor me because I have some good pull in the company. Leo Optics, the coolest shades in Jiu-Jitsu, maybe the only, but definitely
Still the coolest.
Yeah, definitely the coolest. Even if there were other shades in Jiu-Jitsu,
They wouldn't be that cool.
they would not be as cool. And the gi company Maeda that sponsors me. And what about you guys? Anything?
Mine are Head Nod Squad and Breakpoint Gi, and then CatalystFoundation.org. It's kind of an important thing that I help out with. They go to Vietnam into developing areas and try to help them get water, build schools, make it safe and habitable for people of all kinds.
All right.
I don't have any sponsors, but I love my family. So shout out to my parents and my sister and my dogs. I guess.
I love your mom too.
She's sweet. She's a very nice lady.
Alex.
She actually is. His I've never met her, but she comments on my Instagram pictures with you.
Dude, your mom has Instagram
She
and
does.
you don't.
She does. My mom's pretty hip. I have a good family though, so I appreciate them.
She's a sweet lady. Yes.
All right, guys.
We all agree.
Well, thanks for listening and sticking around, and send us your questions, and check back next month for the next episode. To catch you guys on the flip side. Bye.